Hello everyone, my name is Oluwaseun Martins, and in this video we're discussing how to use Microsoft Word effectively for research. So without wasting time, we just go to the agenda. So for our agenda, we'll be looking at how to use Microsoft Word effectively for research, and we'll be looking at the following applications. So how to format the page, how to create style, how to do our page layout, page numbering, then referencing with Word. So in the subsequent frames, we'll be showing how we do this appropriately. So the first thing will be that whenever we have to write a thesis for our research or our project, we'll be given some typesetting constraints that our write-up must follow. For instance, the typesetting requirement here is saying that the paper size has to be A4 of 21.0 cm by 29.7 cm or 8.27 inches by 11.69 inches. So to do all of this properly, I will just open a new Word document where we'll do all of this. So here is the new Word document. So what I will do is to split the screen so that we can view both documents. So here we have the two documents. So here is my new Word document. So the first thing here says the paper size has to be A4, 21.0 cm by 29.7 cm or 8.27 inches by 11.69 inches. So I'll come here to where I have this rule here. Then I'll click this. Then by default, we can see that the top, the left, the bottom, and the right are all in 1 inches. So, but for the margins, for the paper, okay, the paper here is already A4. So, but for the margins, we are to put the margins to 1.25 inches for the left. So I'll just come here and add 0.25 for the left margin here. So, and it says the right top and bottom should be 1.0. So the top, the right, the left are all 1.0. So it says there that the first page of each new chapter shall have a top margin of 5 cm or 2.0. So that's for where I have my chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4, and 5. And references, the top margin will be 2.0. So I would click on OK here. So the third point here says the font should be Times New Roman 12 point for all text, and all chapter titles should be font size 14 point. So to do this, let me enlarge this properly so that we can do that. So let's assume this is my page. Okay, let's assume this is my cover page. Let me just put my cover page here. Cover page. Okay, before I do that, let me create a style that address this request here, saying that the font should be Times New Roman 12 point for raw text. So what I'll do is to come to where I have style here. So this normal style, I would modify. So I'll modify here and change this to Times New Roman 12 point, and also justify, because when you're writing your thesis, you always justify your text by default. So here the color should be black automatically. So I'll go to where I have my format. I'll go to paragraphs. So here the spacing is 1.5. So I'll click on OK. So what I've done now is to modify this normal style to this Times New Roman 12 point for all the text, and also the spacing here is set to be 1.5 line space. So that's what I've done. So let me put this as my cover page, while the next page would be where I have all the declaration and things like that. Let me just put here as where we'll have the acknowledgements and abstract and things like that. So let me just put abstract here. So the next, let me correct this. So the next would be where I have the chapter 1, chapter 2, and all the likes. Or let me just leave this page for table of contents. Let me just say my table of content is here. Table of contents will be here. So let me say the next page here will be where I have my chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, like that. So I'll come to where I have paragraph here, and I'll go to multi-level list to define a new multi-level. So here I have chapter 1 already. So if I want to change my numbering style, I can just come to this drop down and change the numbering style to whatever numbering style I want. But by default, it is 1, 2, 3, and it's starting at 1. And you know that your chapter headings are always centered. So here you select centered, and you click on OK in this case. So this is chapter 1. So I can come here. The style is already here for heading 1. So I can come here and modify and put it here centered, and click on OK. So here we have it centered. So here I have chapter 1. If I push my tab down and I come to this new page and I click on this, it gives me chapter 2. If I go further down again and I click this, it gives me chapter 3, and so on and so forth. So that is how you do your style for your chapter and your text. So another thing is you come to where you have views here, click on views and click on navigation pane here, so that you have the headings showing the page. Then if you have any find request, that's why you see that. So the headings I have now, chapter 1, 2, and 3. So what this heading pane does for me is that whatever heading I find here is what will appear on my automatic table of contents. That is what would appear. So so the next thing you want to do is to create another style for your subheadings, like your 1.1 background of the study, 1.2 statement of the problem, and things like that. So what you can do, you can go to any of the style again, for instance this title style, and modify it to that. So this would be Time New Roman, this would be 12 points, and this would be justified as well, and it will be bold in this case. And you can go to format, go to a paragraph, and give it 1.5. So click OK, and so I've modified this title style. So here if I come and I put 1.1 on that title style, you can see it's bold, and this is my background of the study. So that is, so for any subheading in this form, I will just be using my title style for that. But if I'm writing my text, I will be using my normal style, which will be in Time New Roman 12 by default, and spacing of 1.5 that we have created for the normal style. So, and as to the navigation pane, like I said earlier, whatever appears here will be what would come up on your automatic table of contents. So I want the background of the study also to appear there. So what I'll do is to go to reference and click on add text, and I'll give this level 2 in this case. So we can see that it is now coming up under chapter 1 in this case. So if I also want so for my abstract too, should be for the same title style. So I'll just click on title style. So I will need to put this one at center. So I want this one also to equally appear on my navigation pane as well. So what I would do is just to go to the same reference, go to add text, and I'll click on level 1. So you can see the abstract is showing here. If I equally want this table of contents to show, I will equally give it a title style, brings one back to center. Then I will go to reference as well and add text, and I'll give it level 1. So table of contents is also showing. So whatever I have here will be what will show by default on my automatic table of contents when I want to do my table of content eventually. So another thing you want to look at is page numbering. So if you want to number your pages, just go to insert and go to page numbering. That will be bottom. So bottom center, that is the page numbering style. So, and we click on escape. So now the pages are numbered 1, 2, 3, and so on and so forth. However, you notice that your cover page would not be numbered. So how do you do this so that your cover page will not be numbered while the others are numbered? So what you do is that you come to your layout here and do what we call, go to breaks, and you break your pages into sections. So what I'll do is to break this cover page from the subsequent pages, and I'm saying I'll just come here and click next page. So once I click this, what happens is that this cover page will be on a different section in this same document to the page I have the abstract and the other pages. To see that, if I click the numbering, we can see here that footer section 1, here is header section 2. So this is footer section 2, header section 2, and we can see that the cover page is on section 1 while the other pages are on section 2. So the next thing is to remove this numbering. If I just remove this numbering like this, you will see that all the page numbering will also go away. So how do you do that? What you need to do is to come to, I want this to go to next page all the time. Sorry, it should go from here. So this goes to next page. So what you need to do is to unlink the numbering. So just go to where you have the page that comes directly after the cover page. So you go to the numbering there and you check this link to previous. So once you uncheck it, what has happened is that the numbering of this section 2 is no longer linked to the numbering of section 1. So if I delete this numbering here, you will see that the page 2 is still left there because I have unlinked the numbering of section 2 to that of section 1. So another thing you will notice when you are looking at thesis is that pages where you have abstract, acknowledgements, before you have your chapter 1, where is background of the study, they are all on Roman numerals. So how do you do that? You also need to create a section break again between where you have those pages of abstract acknowledgements and the page that would start your thesis itself. That is your chapter 1. So I'll come to the last page before I have chapter 1 here, and also go to layout and do section break again here. So what I've done again is to say, if I double click on this now where I have numbering, you can see that this is footer section 2, header section 3. Also, if you go up, you see section 2. So we have 3 sections now in this document. Section 1, section 2 for abstract, table of content and all of that, and section 3 is where your chapter 1 starts from. So what I'm going to do again is to unlink my numbering of chapter 1, which is in section 3, to the numbering of section 2. So what I'll do here is to unlink to previous. So once I check that the numbering on section 3 now, which is where my chapter 1 is starting from, is no longer linked to section 2, where I have all my acknowledgements, abstract and all of that. So with that, I can come here, highlight this numbering of section 2 and change it to Roman numeral. So I'll just format it, edit field, and I'll say this should be in Roman numeral. So I'll click OK on this. So this is Roman figure 3. However, I want to come here so that I can start from Roman figure 1 here. So I'll just right click on this and format page numbering. So it should start at 1, which is Roman figure 1. So I'll click on OK. So where I have my abstract now is my Roman figure 1. My section 1 has no numbering. So abstract Roman figure 1, table of content Roman figure 2, and my background of the study has page number 3. However, this should be my page number 1. So I'll just come here, right click on it, and go to format page numbering again and start this from 1. So now I have my background of the study on page 1, and all pages before my chapter 1 is Roman numeral, as you would see in your write-ups, and your cover page will have no number. So that's how you do your layouts in such cases. Another thing you see is writing equations, putting figures and the likes. So when you want to insert an equation, all you need to do is to go to where you have reference, go to insert caption here. So let me say I want to insert a figure in this. Let me say I have a figure here. Let me copy a figure, and I say I want to put this figure here. Let's say this figure here is on is on chapter 1. So, and I want to put a caption. So I'll come to captions, insert caption. This is a figure. So I'll click on figure from this drop down, and I see here I have exclude label from caption. If I check this, figure will not appear with the caption, so I need to uncheck it so that figure will appear with it. And the numbering style, it is 1, 2, 3 like you have, and I want the chapter to be included in the numbering, so I'll check this, and it is figure 1.1, 1.2. So I'll be clicking a period here, and I'll click OK. So here we can see we have the figure 1.1 because this figure is in chapter 1. So figure in chapter 1, and this is the first figure, 1.1. If I click this figure again and I paste here and I go to insert caption again, this will be 1.2 automatically. So this is saying this is figure 1.2. So you will equally recall that my style is that all my text should be in Time New Roman 12, but you can see that this one is in italics, so I need to change my caption style. So come here, this is where I have captions. I'll need to modify this. So I modify this. So I already have this as Time New Roman, but it's 9, so I'll change it back to 12, and it will be it won't be in italics. So I'll click on OK. So we can see now that they are all on Time New Roman 12 and they are not on italics. So that is for figures. Also, if you have if you take the same figure to chapter 2 and you just put in your figure caption, again, go to insert, go to reference and insert figure caption. So you can see that it's automatically figure 2.1, saying that this figure is in chapter 2. So that's how you number figures. So equation is another thing again. For equation, we are told to use the Microsoft Equation 3.0. So if you go to insert, you go to your object, you click on object, you will find your equation 3.0 in your drop down. For my own Word, I've installed math type 7.0 equation, but by default what you have on Word is math type 3.0. So it depends on what you have on your system. So I'll just click that and click OK. So it will bring you this window. So let me say I want to put an equation. A equals 2 into bracket P over S. So you just use all of these functions to create your equation, and I close this. So you can see here, this is the equation. So all equations also have captions. So I'll go to reference and I'll go to insert caption and I click here OK. This is an equation in this case. So I'll click on equation and I will exclude the label, because for equations we don't put the equation label there. So this is just equation 2.1, saying that this is the first equation in chapter 2, and you take that to the right. So I put that in brackets. So this is equation 2.1. So if you take the same equation to chapter 3 and you use the caption again, equation caption again, you click on insert equation, that will be 3.1, because it's telling you that that equation is in chapter 3. So that is how you do equation caption. Now the other thing also is tables. If you have any table, let me say I insert a table here. I have this table, so I want to label this table. I'll just go to my reference as well, go to insert, go to drop down table, so table 2.1. So this is saying that this table is in chapter 2 and it's the first table in chapter 2. So if I paste the same table in chapter 3 and I click on table, it will automatically tell me that this table is in chapter 3 and it's the first table in chapter 3. So that is how you do your captions. The good thing in doing this is that whenever you want to do your automatic table of contents, so for instance, if I go to references and I click on table of contents, all I have on this navigation pane will show on my table of contents with their page number without having to type them manually. So we can see here, and just to erase this, so we can see here that it's telling me that my abstract is on Roman figure 1, table of contents Roman figure 2, chapter 1 is on page 1, background of the study is on page 1, chapter 2 is on page 2, chapter 3 is on page 3, just like you have all of these chapters. And if you make any changes, once you come to this update table, it will ask if you want to update only the numbering or you want to update the entire table. So you click whichever is appropriate and you click on OK. It will automatically update your table of contents. Also for your list of figures and the likes. So if I put my list of figures here, for instance, and I say I want to put my list of figures here. So let me say this is lists of figures here. So I'll just go to reference and I'll go to insert table of figures. So and I'll click here figure and I'll click on OK. So you can see that figure 1.1, 1.2, 2.1 has been listed and their page numbers are also listed here. So if I want my list of figures to appear on this navigation pane, I only need to click it. I'll change the style to title style and center, and go to reference and go to add text and make it level 1. So list of figures is already there. So now if I go to table of content and I update the entire table, list of figures would be listed. So you can see that list of figure is now listed in my table of content. So also my list of tables, so I can just put them here. So I'll just go to insert table of figures, and here I'll click on table. In this case, I'll click OK. So the tables that we are putting, table 2.1 is on page 2, table 3.1 is on page 3. So this helps in our table of contents listing. It makes it very, very easy. Even when I delete, let me say I delete a table. Let me delete this figure, and also delete this table here. So if I delete this table and I go to my table of contents, I don't need to change any numbering. I only need to come here and update the fields. So once I update, you can see that automatically table 3, figure 3.1 is no longer there. And also if I update these fields here, you see that table 2.1 has been deleted, and also the table has been updated accordingly. So it makes it very easy to do your table of content and all of that at the end of your work. So the next thing is referencing. How do you reference? So the referencing style depends on what is requested. If we go back to our typesetting request, go down to where we have references. So we see here that it says text reference is surname and the date, and we should use APA style, the 5th edition in this case. So how do we do that? If you go to where you have your references, you go to where you have citations and bibliography. So the style here is APA already. However, I have 6th edition on my Word. There are other styles as requested by whatever template you are using. So I'll be using this APA. So I'll click on insert citation in this case to insert any reference. So add new source. So I'll click on new source. So this window comes and it will request to fill these fields. So if it's a journal article, I'll leave this as it is. If it's a book, if it's a book section, if it's a conference paper or a report, I can select any of these. They have different fields to be filled for anyone you select. But for journals, you have the author. So how do you put your author names? You can see the example down here. Once you click a field, the example will show down here. So the two names of the person's surname, the first name, the initial, separated by semicolon when you have more than one author. So let's use this document. So let me say I want to reference this very document in my work. I'll just highlight the authors and I'll go to Word, the one I'm using, and I'll paste this here. So this will be the surname, comma, so S, that will be the initial for the other name, and also S. So you separate the two with semicolon. So what's the title of the work? Just go here, copy the title of the work, and paste it here. That's the title of the work. Then what is the name of the journal? Just copy the name of the journal and paste here. What year is it? So let's just check the year and the page number. So the year, you can check the year maybe come down here somewhere. So you can see the year is 2018 and the page number is from 8316 to whatever page is it. So we just put here 2018, and the next thing will be, let me say, 89 to 99. Let's just say that's page number. So I'll click on OK. So by that, this comes up in your text. However, you can't use ampersand in your referencing. So you need to click on this drop down and go to convert to static text so that I can make changes here. So I'll put this as and. So if my reference is starting a paragraph, it will be the names of the authors, only the year will be in brackets if it is starting a paragraph. Let me say design a house. But if it's closing the paragraph, let me say design a house, it will be all the content, the name and the year will be in brackets. If it's starting the paragraph, only the year will be in brackets. Also, if I have only one author on a journal and I want to reference it, so it will only be the name and the year. So just remove this. So if it's starting and if it is closing the paragraph, it will just be something like this. So it will be everything in brackets. Also, if the authors are more than 2, in that case, you will use the et al. So that will just be this, the first name, the first person, the first author alone, and et al. But the et al. will be in italics because it is not an English word. So if it is starting, if it is ending the paragraph, everything will be in brackets. If it is starting the paragraph, only the year will be in brackets. So that is how you do referencing. The good thing about using the insert reference, like I did, is that whenever I want to do my referencing, listing my references at the end, I can automatically list my reference. So if I come here and I go to reference and I go to bibliography here and I click it, I'll just choose any of references style that I want. So if I click this, so this is the listing of the reference I put in. Now, the name of the journal, every information I put in. So it makes my reference listing very easy. So once I'm done with all my reference, I just come and click anyone that I want here and my reference will be listed, and also it will appear on my navigation pane automatically. So if I go to my list of table of content and I just update the entire document, now the entire table, you see that reference will come up and the page where it is will equally come up. So that's how you use Word effectively for your research writing as discussed. Thank you very much for your time.